Aji Issac Mathew, who's the CEO and co-founder INT Techno. I got the pronunciation right, sir? Okay, perfect. Thank you. We also have Gandharv Sachdeva, who's the country head of India Hybrid. He was earlier there for a keynote as well. Give it up for him, please, Gandharv ji, once again. Thank you so much. We also have Soumya Mukherjee, who's the COO of Hoichoi. Give it up for Soumya Mukherjee, please. And I'll also request Dwaipayan Chakraborty, Senior Director of Mindshare, to kindly come over here on stage and join us for this brilliant panel. Give it up for Mr. Dwaipayan as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for showing that energy, zeal, and enthusiasm. I'm pretty sure all our stalwarts are going to be sharing some wonderful expertise from their end, and looking forward to you. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon everyone, and I hope that at the fag end of the day you still have some enthusiasm and energy to listen to us, and I hope that we're going to get a lot of energy from you. Please remember that this is not a monologue. We are very, very happy to be asked questions. Each one of us is looking forward to interacting with you and answering and taking your questions. When I am on optimizing investments in an integrated landscape, that is what in a media maze we are going to talk about today. In today's world, the media landscape is like a vast, intricate maze. With so many options available from TV and radio to social media and streaming services, businesses need to be wise about how they spend their money to get the best value. The media landscape includes all the different platforms and channels where content is shared. This can be traditional media like newspapers, television, radio, as well as the digital media such as websites, social media, streaming engines, and so on. Each platform has its own audience and style. So understanding these differences is the key to make good investment choices. Integration means bringing together different media channels to create a unified strategy. For example, a company might run ads on TV, share content on social media, and have a blog on their website, all working together to share the same message about their new product. This integrated approach helps reach more people and makes the message stronger. However, integrating different media channels can be tricky. Each platform has its own rules and best practices, and what works for one might not be working for the others. Companies need to carefully plan how they use each channel to get the most of these platforms. To get the most out of their media investments, businesses need to know their audience, bring them all together, choose the right channels to invest in. Having specific objectives like brand awareness or driving sales is the key to success. This could involve using analytics tools to monitor website traffic, and all of this is what we're going to talk about today. Bringing this whole landscape together in a media maze. As I invite my co-panelists to take on one topic after the other, I would like each of them to also mention how their industry plays a specific role in the media maze. I would like to start with Chomo.
Is this audible? Yes. So I'm from the OTT industry, which I think evolved over the last 5-6 years. Today, Hoichoi started as one of the first few players in the market. We launched way back in 2017. Media for us is very complex. Of course, we are a media company first because we create content, and to us, that is the biggest form of media. At the same time, in context to the panel, I think the entire Hoichoi's acquisition strategy across the world, not only in India, is dependent on acquiring new users, right, and retaining them. And that is where media plays the most important role.
Over to you, Aji.
I'm audible. So I'm from the digital marketing industry, and I'm in this industry for last almost now 16, 17 years, completed my Vanvas in digital marketing. In the digital space, what I can say is that the demand supply, the media has become, you have too many media options that is available. whereas the advertisers have also grown. So one need to keep looking at it, whether we have more media available compared to the most advertisers, and how do you balance this supply as well as the demand gap for your own advantage. But said all of those things, it can also be a lot of noise. But how do you look at that whole media from your own perspective? So this is, I think, the best time to start thinking from a first principle perspective and saying that as a business, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? If I am building a brand, what does the brand building really means in today's context? Does the definition of brand building even hold true from what was yesterday to what is today? Because brand never had a single number. But today brand has a number. If I go to a Zomato or if I go to an IMDb, I browse and I can see the number and saying this is rated 9.1 out of 10 and there are 10,000 ratings. Can I immediately trust that brand because there is a rating, which was never available at a fingertip? So anything and everything that we do, I will suggest that start thinking from a first principle perspective and make sense of the media, and then you will see the best outcome that we can get rather than being in that fear. And if you have to put somebody's picture in your office, I will say take the person who had done Pareto principle, put the picture and keep reminding that still that 20% will give you 80%. Your job as a marketer is to find out that 20% which will give you 80% result before going into all the other things that are shining in today's world. Because we have not done the core yet and we are still talking about the latest things, then you will never get the value that you are expecting on.
Coming into the world of ad tech now, Gandharv, can you tell us how it featured in the media maze?
So when we talk about the ad tech industry today, it's something which is growing and coming up new. Media has been there have been a lot of publishing houses, everything which has been there. But when it comes to the ad tech sector, we are actually consolidating everything in one place, looking at the demographics and any kind of targeting that we look at, wherein the media helps, and it's helping the clients to reach the right audience at the right time basically, and not just doing a lot of inclusive advertising, looking at the right place and making that.
Dwaipayan, your 2 points on that?
Taking cue from what Gandharv just right now said, see, contextual and timing makes the hell of a difference when it comes to digital media. Because it's a real-time kind of a thing. Like it depends on turn on day part. Like at the moment, if I categorize you as a target audience, your nuance of selection of content and your palatability of specific content actually changes. So in a sense of media perspective, your contextual element and your data signals are changing. Now given this season or given this scenario where cookies are actually slowly getting obsolete, data clean rooms are the need of the hour. Because right now, once cookies are completely phased out of the scenario, how will you actually target the cohorts? From an ad tech perspective, from a business perspective, I think as a business owner, as a media conglomerate or an agency also, all these three factors on which media is operating right now, they need to take this into account, that how they can actually take care of the P1 data, how they can actually utilize this to figure out the 20% that Aji just right now said, and actually create a probabilistic modeling of who those consumers are, who is going to define the media perspective of the, let's say, the investment perspective, and how dynamic creative optimization comes into play on the basis of that. I think that's the key system right now we need to focus on.
So while we're talking about this cookieless environment, what would you think would be the pros and the cons? How would the environment suffer? What would you think is the way forward on this?
Right. So first of all, how many of you are happy that we are going into a third-party cookieless? Because internet is always going to have cookies, but third-party cookie will be a trouble. So how many of you are happy that we will have less of retargeting happening to you as a customer? Are you all happy as a customer? No? As an advertiser, most of us will be sad and saying that we cannot target. But let's understand, and I will suggest that if you have slightest of the fear about third-party cookie going away, the first step of that is understanding what is it. What is going away? What is staying? And who will own that data? Like Google will still have a very strong integration between all of their platforms. How will Facebook change? If you understand that step by step, then you will see that some of the things will be as it is. Like for example, today we have in-markets available in Google. Very few people use in-market. As I said that 20%, forget about all of this cookie-less world. How many of you are running advertisement and seeing the data that Google gives you for your own brand? Google tells you who is searching for your brand, what is their income bracket, what is their age, what is their gender, what is their location. All of this data is available for your own brand. Most of us are not even using that data at this moment to optimize the rest of the media. So we will have less of a problem. But if you understand it well, probably you can integrate. I will say that there will be some concerns when you have integration issues at few areas, but you have server-side tracking very much available for most of the things in the market. But there will be some issues. But will that issue fall under the top 20 or the rest 80 is what you need to judge. In most of the cases, you can still achieve a great result. Like it will be difficult for automated targeting and etc. But still, I won't say there will be a huge challenge if you know how to optimize according to the existing market. So you should not be afraid of it. But any new technology that comes in, so this is a best practice that all of us can do. Any new technology that comes into your space, just write it down and every quarter look at that technology and say how it is going to impact me positively and negatively, think about it. If you can't understand there is a huge positive or huge negative, continue to study in the next quarter. Again after the quarter look at that whether you have a positive or negative space instead of being in the FOMO stage or being too excited. Because many a time we take a technology because it's new, but it may not give you that kind of a value. But as I said, understand what it really does. Most of us don't understand how the cross-site third-party cookie will have an issue, whereas the same company can have access to many of the data that they already own. Google will be a very big winner because they will have intent profile many of the data already owned by them. So we can continue to keep a watch.
Wonderfully well said it. Shomo, with you I would like to explore the fact of consumer trust and privacy. So being in the content space, can you please throw some light on how you can take this forward?
Sure, I'll also take some cue from what Aji mentioned, because I think using first-party data responsibly is what we all use for, right? And that is what goes a long way in building any brand's trust. I mean, for not only for any OTT company, but any B2C company out there today, user retention metrics are by far the most important, right? And that is a lot of the user retention is actually done through first-party data that the companies actually own. And to probably talk more about this point and trying to link to the trust factor, I think today companies have the right to send 10, 20 push notifications to the customer, send multiple emails. So that is where I think user or the platform's responsibility comes into play, that how you are going to use first-party data in communicating to your users and eventually building strong trust. For a very public company like us, which creates content and which is continuously in the customer's eyes, trust also is created through the kind of content that we are making, the kind of laws that we are following in creating that, and how we are essentially capturing somebody's data and utilizing that.
Privacy is something that we would like to hear about from you too, Gandharv.
So when we talk about data privacy, yes, even the third-party guys, I was just on my presentation previously, we were talking about third-party cookies going out and the privacy concerns. So yes, the privacy concerns are there as of now, but with the third-party cookies going out, it will be much more, privacy will be there, like the kind of platforms that we have, and we are running onto those platforms which are all cookie-less. We see that we're targeting the right audience, and when we use the right ad units and all of that, the clients are happy and the users also look at that privacy platform. So yes, privacy is one of the most important things which will be there once the cookies are not there and we work on with that.
So what are the pitfalls of a cookieless environment, the ones that you can see immediately?
So I would say the pitfalls, yes, what we see is that the kind of transparency and everything might not be there. The users who are using it, the kind of retargeting parameters would not be there. That is something where the clients will feel the brunt and they will feel that what next should be done. Because if it's totally cookieless, then yes, there has to be a different kind of platforms, advertising, which the users will have to get.
Dwaipayan, your 2 points on this?
See, I would like to date it a little bit. See, retargeting won't be a problem. Once first-party data handling comes completely into the picture and the proper maintenance of data clean rooms are a norm, then retargeting will not become a problem actually. So, and it will become much more sharp-shooted. Rather than right now, the retargeting that happens is basically of a probabilistic distribution by uploading some kind of a P1 data in some kind of an ad platform. Once this whole server-side tracking, what Aji was actually trying to say, comes into complete full force, the whole privacy will be much more highly guaranteed. Right now what's happening, it's client-side, which is browser-based. And browser-based leakages are day in and day out. These are stories everywhere. You get to know some kind of leakage is happening, some kind of zero-day your flaws are there in some kind of a browser. So your data gets a little bit leaked and people are always working towards, the systems are always working towards security. But once the whole tracking shift to a server side, and what I mean by server side is that the tracking or let's say placement of a unified device ID or a INS tag is going to be taken care of by a SOX audited compliant server. So your data is actually far more secure than a client-side browser-based system. And once that whole thing comes into the picture, see, Google and Facebook will never, I don't think they need to talk to each other. But once the unified ID comes into a picture, which I think in next decade will be a need of the hour because the server-side tracking system won't be effective enough if we don't have that. Once that into a picture, your privacy laws and your retargeting problems are going to be taken care of. So it's not that of a difficult. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get this as a norm rather.
Thank you. So Aji, I would like to know from you about enhancing engagement through contextual targeting. We have been talking about this, so if you can explain to us in simple words.
So again, as I said, if you need to, so what level of personalization you really need? Because whenever I take any session, I ask people that how many of them understand segmentation. Most of us will say yes, and it takes years to understand what is segmentation, what is the real use of segmentation from a business context perspective. Because if you have so many segments and you want to really create a personalized message to it, then how do we want to look at all of these segments separately and create a content for it? How much content you want to create? How much is too much to create that kind of an outcome? All of those things from an ROI you can look at it. From a context perspective, today, as Dwaipayan was also mentioning, that overall, the media goal is to reach the right person at the right time with the right cost and various other things. So at the right time, and the right message and many other things associated with that, but the right timing is where the context can become very critical. And if you do a little more thinking about what is this right timing means, who has this right timing? Now have you ever asked that how does Facebook even know that when do you need a loan? Facebook does not know when you need a loan, but how is Facebook able to target it? Because it is taking the data of somebody else. I go to SBI's website to take a loan, and Facebook cookie is there, and Facebook takes that data and shows innocent and Axis and all the other advertisements, whereas that data does not belong to Facebook, the data belongs to SBI.
Forget about a loan, they also need to know when I need a LOSA.
Absolutely.
And they are sending it to me right then.
And that is where, but Google, if somebody is going and searching in the Google, so Google has a certain context. So Facebook has different type of media where context is defined very differently. Whether I'm interested in a fashion, whether I'm traveling, whether I have. So recently, if I have broken a relationship, is available on Facebook compared to that on Google. So you need to understand what is context and where does your context makes more sense. Use the media accordingly and take connection. And whichever media is your first intro media, The secondary media, third media can be an integrated approach to all of this media. But again, keep asking this question. Do not take anything that is available in the public, because everyone says content is the king. But I will say that content is not the king today, because there is too much of content and there are too many kings. The content consolidation and adding value through the content is the king when the world changes. Because that narration has come up. So all the narration, whatever we say today, might get outdated tomorrow, and you have only one saver, that is you alone, and saying, what am I doing, why am I doing? That's why I said this is the best time to keep thinking context also from a first principle thinking and use your media accordingly.
Show more contextual targeting in your industry?
We always do. It's very important because to identify which cohort is going to watch what, that's the most important aspect of the business, right? I cannot be pushing, let's say, a movie which released in 1950 to somebody who has no taste for it or who will not enjoy, and that is how you end up losing customers, right? So for us, we use I think it's a two-level one. When we look to acquire somebody, I think very important to again identify the right cohort whom we want to target with what communication message. That is very critical. With what content, that's also very important, right? Content is still the key, but it has to be utilized more responsibly. So I think that is the first step. Then when the customer is on the platform, then again we have to personalize the user's experience on the platform, right? We have to show him more relevant information so that his watch time increases. So that is the second part. And the third part is how we retain is also where we have to segment the customer as per their user behavior, as per how, what kind of content they are watching, and basically targeting that customer so that we can retain them. So very, very critical at all three stages of the customer funnel for us.
You know, the advent of new technologies for an agency is actually quite a turbulent phase, because we are excited to use the new technology at all points of time. We want to wow our clients, and we want to utilize this new technology and make our proposals more fancy and make our offerings more advanced. Gandharv, can you tell us what is this excitement of the new technology? How can the agencies control themselves? Because it may be possible that the product at hand really doesn't need it.
Sure. So when we talk about new technologies and context that we're talking about, the content and all. So yes, contextual, yes, is the thing that we talk about. And within contextual, if you've got new technologies that are coming into place, say for example, like we do it today, we target the editorial ads, and we say the editorial articles which are there, we will just target them. So that is where the user, the engagement goes better, because when it's an editorial article, any user who's there, he's reading it and he's engaging with that. And when we capture the user there itself, that is the point the engagement comes from. Say for example, I'm reading an article on a holiday, go for a holiday, say to Switzerland. I'm reading an article, an editorial article on Switzerland. The editor has put in an image which is really engaging image with that. And I just target the user there itself with the image and say, make my trip, or someone has come up with some offers with Switzerland. The user will click, go and read about it and spend some time. So this is where these new technologies are coming into place. It's not only mine, there are other technologies also, wherein are getting much more engaging. The engagement ratios are going up with the clients. This is where we feel. And contextual, yes, meeting people at the right time and the right place. Right time, according to us, what we say is that if we're targeting someone, we would say if you're using the right keywords and if you're targeting the right articles, is somewhere that we're reaching out to that particular user at the right time. So that's it.
I will refer to what Shoma was right now just saying, that see, I think personalized content is the key. So this whole word, keyword personalize is the crux of the whole thing on digital media right now at this day and age. So figuring out what the target end user, the end user is a one single individual, but you don't know what the end user is actually wants. But you can successfully categorize into specific cohort or a segment, then 86 to 90% similarity will be found out. And if you can crack that, then you are hitting the golden spot. So now how to actually define that, and when is the right time when the person is actually going to appreciate the content that you're dishing out is the main key feature right now. So a lot of variables actually comes into this. Timing, cohorts, segments, and your regionalization of the content as well. Whether the ad creatives, or let's say the creative with which you are pushing the information out, whether it's obtrusive enough, like it's creating disturbance to the audience or not. So that kind of intelligence is also very required. So A/B split testing, I'm pretty sure people here have heard like done and dusted with the concept of A/B split testing, but trust me, people don't use A/B split testing as it should be. Like you have a specific cohort who wants to hear about Bengali content or something like that. You know that this is going to work and you start throwing up that kind of an ad or a content or an information piece out here, thinking and hoping that the person will like it, your engagement metrics will go up. It does not work like that. Because every single day, every week, the idea or let's say the attention span of the end user is decreasing. Right now, I think it is standing at 7 seconds, 6 seconds. So you only have like 6 to 7 seconds window to actually capture that audience. So segmentation, figuring out when is the right time and what kind of regionalized or personalized content will actually work to get the audience hooked to my platform is the right thing to do from my experience. And that is where the segmentation and data actually comes into play.
So in the last phase of our conversation, I would like each of my co-panelists to focus on future trends and innovations in marketing and tell us about the potential of technologies like AI, AR and VR in enhancing consumer experiences and preserving our cultural heritage. I'd like to start with Shomo.
I think I'll quickly touch upon AI as a subject on the content industry, right? Because I think I generally believe it's going to dramatically evolve a lot of processes that we work on, right? Especially in the localization piece. What I mean by localization is primarily dubbing, subtitles, translation, the entire piece. I think today it's very easy for AI to track certain languages. Of course, some of the languages need to evolve, but probably, in my opinion, this is probably going to be the biggest game changer where AI would definitely disrupt this particular industry.
Yeah, there is no doubt about it that AI is where a lot of things will shape up. But right now, if I see a lot of tools are in silo, and AI will consolidate a lot of tools and start providing it. Start looking for ecosystems for AI. Don't look for tools for AI. Which are the ecosystems? Like Google has a complete ecosystem for data. Amazon has a complete ecosystem for AI. Like Google has Google BigQuery, Vertex AI. When you integrate all of those things, very easy to get to a certain level. So instead of using hundreds of tools, because many of these tools will get redundant or be available within an ecosystem. And also try and I'll take a small example so that you can start thinking in that direction. That's why I keep re-emphasizing that start thinking on the first principle perspective. Recently, I think a few weeks back, Economics Times have covered that on in a restaurant, they put a camera in front of the garbage bin. And whenever anything is thrown, the camera will capture it and automatically tell that what food has been thrown, what time it is there, all of this data is captured, and based on that they can realize that which portion of the food is higher, what time is higher, what food is getting thrown, can we optimize it and reduce the food wastage. But what has changed is, now you can identify an image based on the video very quickly. You don't have a problem. So why all of us should take AI very, very seriously is that AI was not accessible to us the way it is accessible to us now. AI tools, whether you talk about Llama 3, whether you talk about any of the tool systems, it is very much accessible for all of us. If you don't start using it now, within a year you won't build the muscle and use best of it. Do not, as I said, don't be excited, but certainly be using these tools, and I am super clear that this will change a lot of things in the future. So you need to start using it and making the best out of it rather than being either too excited or worried about it. But I see huge potential in getting it. Same thing with generative AI, but start asking what is generative AI. It's converting your regular language to actions. So how do you use it for your day-to-day activities? What you need to look into that. And fantastic opportunities, and hopefully we can have absolutely.
Gandharv, your views on future trends?
Yes, I would say the future trends when it comes to AI, yes, AI is helping a lot with every user, with every individual as well, all these tools. But when we talk of AI tools, today, I mentioned Aji, there are 100 tools in the market and the consolidation will happen. So we need to understand which tool we use and how effective that tool can be to my particular business as well. So say for example, if I want to make slides, I want to do presentations, now there are a lot of tools which are there. But still, they can help us to a level, it's not that they will do my entire job at this point of time. So yes, personalization and everything is there, but we need to use it in a very effective way and we can overcome.
I think AI will come into, I mean, it's already coming into a big role in optimization. Because there are millions of unstructured data points across the whole universe. Universe, I'm talking about like your normal ad universe or your teaching universe. Somewhere you're running some kind of an ad, you own a app, let's say you own a restaurant app or something like that, you own a booking app. So you know some X audience is coming onto your website or your app from a Y source. So there is some kind of a structured, unstructured data point there, you downloading into an Excel sheet, trying to figure out what is working and what is not working. And then there is another source, an OTT source, which does not speak to Google universe or a Facebook universe. Right? AI will come into play, like Aji was saying, it's consolidation of all of this universe and creating a larger holistic optimization rule, or let's say algorithm, with which you can actually define with a kind of a human language that, hey, I want to figure out X kind of an audience coming onto my platform, spend Y amount of time, giving me Z amount of an engagement parameter. The system will actually figure out where the sources are, what are those UTM structures, from where this audience is coming, and how can I hold it back or her back. That's where the AI tool is going to come in, because it is very difficult for a human being to download Excel sheet, do the pivot analysis, and there will be hours which is already gone by, whereas AI can do this at a moment's notice, or maybe 15-20 minutes lag at the most, depending on the data structures that you have. So I think AI is much more like, how to put it in a one more simpler language, it's behavioral simplicity with a lot of structural complexity. So it will behave like a human being, it will emulate a human being with you, with us, the advertisers and the agency, but internally it will have a lot of structural complexity where it will actually take into account millions of unstructured data points, throwing and calculating and throwing the analogies or the output out, so that us who will set the parameters will be able to understand and gestate it very easily by taking a business decision. I think that is the way forward for AI, looking at this day and stage at this moment.
Thank you. I would like to know from the organizers, do we have time to take a few questions, 2 or 3? We have a question? We can? Okay, so before I open the floor to questions, I would like to request you to please introduce yourselves and ask the question who is targeted to. Can we have somebody coordinating with the audience? Questions? Can we reach out with the mic? Come forward. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rajesh Surya. I run a small MSME company called Ideas First. Now, I have a question for Isaac, Aji. Your information, what you were talking about, is that you need to learn all these things, what is happening, and also where to we as small agencies or small companies learn from. Because there's so much of information available and we don't know where to learn from the right things. That is number one. Secondly, whatever information is here is for large companies to invest. What is there for MSME companies who have lower budgets and who cannot afford an agency like yours? And how can we optimize our e-commerce systems?
Thank you for your question, Rajesh.
Thanks, Rajesh. So first is, where do we learn? So I can share a small tip to all of you how to keep updated with it. Like I keep saying that if you go and ask God to help, God will say go to YouTube and search. If it is not there, come back to me. So everything is there on YouTube. The way you want to search in YouTube is whichever subject you want to learn, add keynote along with that and search for last 1 month and look at videos which are 4 minutes or above or 20 minutes and above, and you will see world's best sessions available to you. Just glance through it, and if you feel there is an essence, keep noting it down. What are the 10 people talking about the same subject? Write it down, then you go deeper into that subject. So today you don't have to travel, the content has traveled to you, you just need to have that patience. Like every week I will look at what are the keynotes happening in the world in the subjects that I am interested in, so I will be updated. I don't have to go to 10 different places and see that. So that's one area, or otherwise there are other ways to look into that, called the darkness of the world and etc. Everyone talks about it. And right now, for example, I'll have 300 plus YouTube channels where I will follow. Some of them will give me data, etc. But I'll not read and learn from anyone, just for exposure. And digital or any technology is the blessing for SME. Large companies have hundreds of other choice, but SMEs, digital is going to democratize the SMEs. So you need to be using digital or technology more than the larger companies. But if you feel it's too expensive or too difficult to use it, that's just a perception. Digital on the side, like right now, even on the AI or whatever you talk about, there are easy way of drag and drop. There are open source things available. Okay, like there is a tool called Rapid Miner if you want to use it. It's available for free. You can start using it, do it. It's not too expensive. Everything is available on SaaS. It's just only that you may not be able to get there.
Yeah, we have implemented it, but the thing is the results are not coming. So we don't know where we have gone wrong.
So as an SME, I will always say that you need to be very fundamental in your business. Like say, I am an SME when I am investing into share market. I know that I cannot compete with mutual funds, but I know that they cannot study a small stock like I can study, because they will never be able to invest into a small stock as much, because they have so much money that they will not be able to invest into a small stock and work on. They will always go for large cap. But can I study 10 stock more than a mutual fund? Then I'm a better person than them and study it. So you cannot be a general player. You have to be a niche player, and you have to be better than anybody else in that niche, and then you can use their technology for your advantage, and you will be, desired by every other person in that particular industry. But don't be generalized. Go 1 kilometer deep and 1 inch wide before going further.
So we get into the basics, we learn that, and then we dig deeper and master that one particular subject. Thank you. Thank you for such a nice question. Do we have another question? Yes, please. Can somebody get the mic across?
Kavita Shastri, HR faculty from Globes Business School.
Hi, Kavita.
So, hi. So you were talking about the Pareto principle, right? 2018 principle. So how do we apply it? I mean, if you could throw more light on that.
So what I meant is that there are so many things happening. So we are so busy doing the things, but spend 5 to 10 minutes looking at what am I doing. Is it really the high impact areas? First take up the high impact area, then work on everything. For example, and in our customer journey we have obesity and malnutrition. For example, we will spend so much money in creating awareness, but nobody is working on interest and consideration creation. But that falls under my 20%. But nobody is interested in creating interest and consideration. Website is not solving that problem, but we are investing more into awareness. So always take 10% of your time in deciding what is important and then doing the things. So then you will identify that there are few things that matters a lot to us, but we are not spending that time. So that identifying that 20% with 80% impact has to be done first before doing too much of execution. So that's what I mean, that we don't spend that time in identifying. I hope that clarifies.
Yes. Thank you so much.
One more? Yes. Yes, please.
I am Professor Soumya Mukherjee from Globes Marketing Faculty.
Hi,
My question is to Mr. Soumya Mukherjee. I am basically a very avid, watcher of Hoichoi, so that's where my question comes in from. That there are so many, OTT platforms that have come up, So what would be your thoughts on the survival or the sustainable strategies of a particular OTT platform? Because there's huge competition. That is my question number one. My question number two is, there are a lot of Bangladeshi content that is coming up in the Hoichoi platform. So what would be your take on that? Why do they come, and if you can talk about the strategies?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I think, see, I've always maintained that India is a market of many people and many societies and many tastes, right? So I genuinely believe that multiple OTTs can survive in this market without too much competition. Yes, the competition might be high in some of the markets, but if an OTT is able to create its own niche and market that well and build the right kind of trust with a very loyal base of users, I think that is the sweet spot, and probably that's where we operate, right? And to answer your second question, yes, I think Hoichoi, our founder likes to mention that Hoichoi's headquarters ideally should be in Bangladesh in the next few years. And so naturally, I think globally, Bangladeshi diaspora as well as the Bengali speakers are many, and that's why I think Hoichoi has been heavily investing on Bangladeshi content. And we want to continue doing that as well.
Thank you so much for the question. In fact, congratulations on a very, very loyal
Thank you so much.
subscriber base. Do we have another question? Or is we have no more time? I would like to thank ACTALI for bringing us all on board, and I would like to thank my co-panelists for a riveting discussion. Thank you so much.